They call me Dan, the Lakers fan. And I got a master plan for the Lakers back to the promised land. Spread the vision through my people, cause we fans are equal. When we reach 20K subs, yeah, we gon' drop a sequel. Another Laker anthem track, watch me run it back. Got the keys to the city where my Laker jet.
What up, Laker family? We back with another updated breaking news video, man. Yes, Jordan Goodwin was just waived by the Lakers. Unfortunately, we needed the money to sign Marcus Smart. We're now 1.1 below our market hard cap, but we freed up a roster slot. What can this mean for the Lakers? Well, it looks like we tried to make trades. We tried to make a trade to consolidate to be able to sign Marcus Smart, but it couldn't happen. I guess it's something that had to happen. Here's my only concern, guys, is I like Jordan Goodwin. I thought he had a very solid impact on our team last year. I can't even lie. This one hurts a little bit. He appeared in 29 regular season games. He also had 5 starts. You know, he averaged about 18.7 minutes during the regular season. You know, he averaged about 5.6 points, shooting 43% from the field, and a career high 38% from 3. You know, he showcases development as an outside shooter. You know, he was a good contributor with 3.9 rebounds per game as well, including 1.3 offensive rebounds. I used to like that about him. He used to crash that offensive glass. But, you know, he was a 6'5", versatile guard, and unfortunately, we had to let him go. In the playoffs, he didn't do much. He didn't play much, you know, but he definitely emerged as a defender. And I was actually looking forward to him and Marcus Smart spreading some minutes in the backcourt, whether they came off the bench or Marcus started and one came off the bench. But, you know, his energy was great, man. He had a great competitive spirit, and unfortunately, he ends up being the odd man out. You know, it is what it is. Now, the Lakers do have an extra roster spot. That can work if we ever do make a trade. But apparently, Rob Pelinka, man, says that, according to Brett Siegel, right, the Lakers had talks with multiple teams over the last 24 hours to free up some money without sacrificing significant draft assets. Trade discussions, according to multiple sources, never advanced past initial conversation. And apparently, Goodwin was a player that the Lakers liked a lot, that I liked a lot as well. So it does hurt a little bit to know, you know, that happened, and it is what it is. What do you guys think about it? We have officially waived both Shake Milton and Jordan Goodwin. Now, while I agree we had a super influx of guards and we could have got rid of a couple, I was really hoping that the one we got rid of was Gabe Vincent, you know, not Jordan Goodwin, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Appreciate it, Kimmy Goat. Yes, hit that like button, guys, as you guys come in here. My guy said, what a mistake. Too early to tell. I mean, if we end up having another trade where we bring in 2 contracts instead of 1, then it could end up working out. But outside of that, man, we don't have a lot of money to work with. Could somebody sign under that? We'll see, right? But there's a lot of good free agents to be had. So I'm going to reserve a lot of my judgment. I don't like letting go of Jordan Goodwin. He had a high motor, and if a good coach, he might not clear waivers. If a good coach, you know, catches a hold of him, definitely going to turn him into a ball player because he's really good, man. But I wish him the best, and except if he goes to the Clippers or Celtics. Yeah, this was a bit of a gut punch. I agree. My guy said, annoying thing about this is there was no rush. You still had multiple days to do this or find a trade. Also, $1 million isn't even a minimum. Can't offer that. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing when I saw that's all we had, right? That's insane. So that means most likely this is the roster we go into unless Rob does make a trade. But, man, like, I don't know, man. Jordan Goodwin was one of the good ones. I was really hoping for Gabe Vincent to get traded, and it ended up being Jordan Goodwin and Shake Milton who get cut. Of course, if you ask me, Dan, would you cut these 2 players to get Marcus Smart? 10 times out of 10, I'm going to say yeah. You know, I'm going to say yeah. But, you know, it's funny. We were just talking about this. I could definitely see this happening. We said it before we went off the live stream, and sure enough, my phone starts going off right as soon as I get off. So, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy to see that. For me, I am still concerned about one thing, and that's Rob Pelinka's inability to make trades. When was the last time? Can anybody look up for me? When was the last time he actually made a trade in the offseason? We know what he did during the regular season, but I'm talking about during the offseason, right? What I think is going to happen now, I think there's a good chance we go into the season with this roster here, unless they make another trade, which, again, hasn't happened in quite a couple of years, the last couple of summers, you know, during the offseason. So Looks like most of our trades happen during the season, during the trade deadline. That's when Rob seems to be an opportunist and jump on trades. So he said, this feels like when we traded Stanley Johnson. Oh, that is a good comparison. And that one hit my part. Listen, that one hit me right in the feels, man, because as you guys know, I've podcasted with him. He's a great dude. But Jordan Goodwin, man, he'll land on his feet. Somebody's going to pick him up for sure. Hey, how you doing, JoJo? Good to see you. Good to see you, JoJo. Well, unless we get another guard, that means Bronny may be more likely getting minutes now. At least bright spot, but bittersweet. I told you, man, I feel like Bronny's going to get 5 to 10 minutes a game this year. It just feels that way. But at the same time, it just doesn't feel, again, now that we lost Jordan Goodwin, we have 14 people under contract once we officially sign Marcus Smart. That means we have an open slot. Lakers are known to, go into the season with an open slot, right? Just in case of buyout market or anything. But I'd rather fill that up, man. And I wish that, they do still trade Gabe Vincent in a package and bring in 2 players or something. Or trade him for somewhere and have extra cap to sign somebody like Horford or something like that. That's possible. But looking at Rob Pelinka's track record, am I going to hold my breath for that, chat? Absolutely not. Because, again, last time Rob Pelinka actually did something like that, But, again, the Lakers needed this in order to open up the money, to be below the first apron to sign Marcus Smart. So this was a necessary evil, unfortunately. I'm still very happy about the Marcus Smart signing, but this is a little bit of bittersweet because Shake Milton didn't contribute much at all last season, but Jordan Goodwin did. And again, he was very solid for us, man. And we don't even have enough to sign a minimum contract right now with that 1.1 million, right? I don't think he can offer that. So again, we're gonna miss Goodwin's relentless effort. His defense was solid. He chased loose balls, battled for rebounds, and he filled the lanes in transition really well. A hard play style that I think JJ Redick probably undervalued and didn't even play him in the playoffs. So, but I liked his offensive rebounding ability and just as he was just a pesky guard, and I love those type of guards personally, me. But he began the season with the South Bay Lakers. He was averaging 13.8 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 3 assists with a steal and almost 2 steals a game in 17 games before he got the 2-way contract on February 7th. And then became a rotation piece for us, especially due to the injury. So, again, this is a bittersweet day. Yes, we're about to land Marcus Smart. I'm still very happy about that. But, man, wasn't he die hard? Like, man, we lost a good one right there. I'd much rather see Gabe Vincent, go, personally. I really do. It did, man. Well, yeah, but Smart is the real deal. Definitely, I'm still doing this move 10 times out of 10. But I am concerned. I'm really concerned for Rob Pelinka's inability to make trades in the offseason. Seems like the only trades or the only moves he makes are the opportunist ones. When is anybody going to deal in good faith? Do people really hate Rob that much? Right? Do they not want to get robbed? Pun intended. Like, what's going on? The only moves it seems like we ever get offered are the ones we're getting ripped off outside of that Luka one, right? Man. Let's see. D Prince said, oh, no, I like Goodwin, but, well, we had to do it, I guess. He said, but do you think there's still a trade coming? Because if there is, they couldn't have waived him. I don't think there's a trade coming right now. If it happens, maybe around training camp or maybe right before the trade deadline, simply because reports are saying that they try to make moves and nothing really came to fruition. So this was the next best thing. I think we're looking at the roster as is right now. I think that's what we're going into the next season. I would love a trade. Since we have an open roster slot to clear up some more money to go after somebody like Horford. But it's disappointing. It is disappointing to see that Rob still hasn't made, a trade in the last couple of offseason. Can we re-sign Goodwin after he clears waivers? I wish, bro, but I doubt he clears waivers. If anybody's smart, they'll pick him up. And there's still plenty of teams that are looking for value. And he brings value, man. He's a tough little gritty guard. I thought he fit what we're trying to do perfectly, right? Goodwin wasn't on a guaranteed deal either. So that means that nothing stays on the books, right, D-Free? If I'm not mistaken. That's what it means to me. Yep, we had to waive 2 players to sign Smart only because we couldn't find a trade to offload one of these ugly-ass expiring contracts that aren't really going to help the roster much. So that's unfortunate. Now I wouldn't say that, Seth. That's a reach, brother. That is a reach. Bro said he's better than no, he's not better than Smart. But he's good and he's young and he's hungry and he's gone. And I believe in Rob, to be honest. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna believe as far as we can believe, but it is disappointing to see that there hasn't been any moves done as far as trades go, because we do have expiring contracts. You would think those are valuable to somebody, right? But we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Chris, hopefully he does clear waivers and we re-sign him to a two-way contract. That'd be great. But I'm expecting him to get picked up by somebody. I would love to be wrong. Only 25,000 was guaranteed. So when Rob made that deal with him, he made it with that in mind. The ability to waive him, I guess, No, that wouldn't have been a good idea either. Ronnie had a tremendous summer league. Goodwin definitely will shine on another team. Our loss. I agree with that, Jason. I think he will, and I think teams will be dumb not to claim him or pick him up off waivers, right? Can we sign another veteran minimum? We don't have enough money, it seems like. My guy Jonathan said nobody want to trade with Pelinka. This is the team we have. I think so. If this is the team we have, I'm okay with it for now. But I do hope that something does come, just like it has in the previous couple of seasons around the trade deadline, right? We just had a mega blockbuster last trade deadline. So can we repeat that? Not with a blockbuster, but just a trade around the fringes, to plug up any little holes we might have would be great, Jonathan. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for Super Chat, brother. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Let's see. This guy said, to the people hating on Ralph for not making a trade, other teams know we need to clear salary space to sign Smart. Other teams were probably asking for our balls and our soul to take our contract. Bro, this is what I'll tell you, man. It's been a lot of years. Like, if this was the first off season where he hasn't made a trade, or the second one, cool. But it's been like, what, the last how many off seasons since he made a trade, right? So it's okay to question. It doesn't mean that we stop believing in Rob, because overall, I think he's had a pretty solid off season. I just ranked it in the previous video. But, it does hurt that we got rid of a piece that could have been very useful for us this season, all because we couldn't make a trade to offload one of the pieces that's probably not going to be very useful this season, right? So, well, we'll see. Could be wrong. We'll see. If we can just re-sign him as a two-way contract, I'm happy with that. Just as long as we keep him around, that way, once we actually do make a move, we clear up a spot, we give him a spot back. He said, I love that Kuminga's holding the Warriors hostage. That's funny. Honestly, nobody wants to trade with Pelinka. I hope new ownership replace him with Bob Myers or Masai Ujiri. I'm not opposed to that. I've been on the record many times as to saying that, Rob Pelinka, even if they don't replace him, hire somebody to co-GM with him, to be the president of basketball ops with him. You can hire multiple resources and multiple basketball minds that can help, make some of these deals happen. But as of right now, the biggest recruiter has been Luka. Just like in the previous years, it's been LeBron who was recruiting players. It's been Luka. So, I think Rob is sitting pretty there, but he hasn't really swung for the fences as far as on his part making a trade or anything major outside of maybe draft night. If Theo ends up being a hero type player, like a really good steal, then you can give Rob Pelinka credit for that, because that's about the biggest move he has personally made this offseason as far as making trades, right? Now, free agents, again, if you guys have been reading the reports and listening to what's going on, turns out it was Luka who wanted DeAndre Ayton here and recruited him. Right now, Ayton obviously wanted to be a Laker. It takes two to tango. But, Luka did a lot of the heavy lifting. Same thing with Marcus Smart. It was Luka. So where does Rob come in here, right? Because we can't give Rob all the credit since, he did finalize the contract. But it was Luka, right? Where does Rob come in and chip in and say, okay, let me do my part. Now, Luka, you did your job. Good job. Let me go out and make this trade to offload this very useless point guard who disappeared in the playoffs. And now we can keep players like Jordan Goodwin, who can switch multiple positions and just be an absolute defensive beast out there in the perimeter during the regular season, especially, right? Come on. I hope so. I hope so, Logan. I hope Luka is cooking, man. Hopefully he's in his office right now, because we need somebody to step up here. I do like the roster overall, how it is. I'm not complaining about the offseason we had at all. The Marcus Smart thing was kind of like, a nice little cherry on top, but it still leaves something to be desired. And It would have been nice if we could have filled up the entire 15 roster slots instead of going in there with, with 14 or whatever, right? So sounds like Luka can be the GM when he's retired. People are going to love playing with Luka. He's doing his job. He's doing his part. People love playing with Luka. We live in an era where players recruit. It's a buddy-buddy league. I think Luka's done a tremendous job of doing his part, right? But what is Rob bringing to the table? Let's see. Pretty much Jason Black, yes. And I can understand your frustration because I also didn't like Gabe Vincent, especially come playoff time. He was okay in the regular season last year. He had some glimpses when he looked tremendous. But in the first 2 years, you can say that his contract has been a debt. It hasn't been quite the debt that Kendrick Nunn's was or Lil Dangs or anybody of that magnitude, but man, it's been somewhat of a debt. And yeah, the fact that he can't trade really concerns me, man. But Dan, Dalton Connect is in his feelings. We might have to let him go. If they trade him, then you'll know they completely gave up on him because that's what happened with Jalen Hood-Schifino. We completely gave up on him. And you would hate to see 2 17th overall picks be given up on so early because you never know. What if they're late bloomers, right? But at the same time, we got to do what's in the best interest of this team moving forward for the now and for the future. And if Dalton doesn't want to be a part of that, if his body language is off, looks like he regressed in this summer league. He didn't work on his ball handling. His defense looks just as bad. His decision-making is questionable at best. If all of that is true, then yes, they must cut ties with that young player for his own sake and for our sake, right? I think Gabe, if I'm not mistaken, Gabe, is he on an expiring deal or does he have one more year? I think he might be on an expiring contract. I might have to double check that, but yeah, it's you would think these type of contracts are more tradable. There's not a lot of buyers right now on the market as far as trying to trade with the Lakers, at least, Let's see. Gregory Hill. Appreciate you, bro. He said, with our current roster, what would be your ideal starting lineup and bench? What do you think about Vando in the starting lineup? We've tried that before. First of all, let me answer the last part of your question. We've tried Vando in the starting lineup, man. And honestly, I could say it doesn't work just because we need more floor spacing. We saw in the playoffs, that Vando, it kind of feels like playing 5-on-4 sometimes with him because he goes away from even attacking the rim, even when he has a lane. Once in a while, he'll smack a 3 here and there, but man, I'll be honest, bro. I do not like Vando starting only because he hasn't proven much growth. Now, if he can come in the offseason and show he has at least a corner 3-point shot like Vando, like PJ Tucker or something like that, then I'd be cool with it. As far as the first part of your question, my ideal starting lineup, I mentioned it a bit earlier. If you guys weren't here, I'll mention it again. I would start Luka at the point guard. He's more in shape. He looks better. Maybe his defense will improve. We'll see. Marcus Smart at the 2. I feel like he's the perfect player to play alongside somebody like Luka, who just, he's not necessarily a bucket getter, but he can get buckets. And Luka makes everybody better. So he's going to get some wide open looks. And defensively, he's going to be a point of attack defender who can really pick up even full court if he needs to, if he's healthy, right? And really disrupt a lot of what the opposition's trying to do from the perimeter standpoint. So I put him at the 2. I'll put Rui for now until we get a better small forward at the 3. I'll put LeBron at the 4, and I'll put DeAndre Ayton at the 5. All right, those are my that's my starting lineup. Ayton, clearly the best big we have by far on this roster. Austin would be my super 6 man off the bench, and you can even have him run point guard. If Dalton's still here, you can have him at the 2. You can have a Thero, assuming he pans out, at the 3. Right, you can have Jared Vanderbilt at the 4, and at the 5, inevitably, you're going to have to play Jackson Hayes, unless Maxi Kleber comes in with a vengeance. And personally, me, Gabe Vincent, he's too small. If he's not knocking down shots, he's not doing much. I'm trading his ass. That's why I didn't put him in my rotation. I wasn't a fan of what he did in the playoffs, and I'm completely out on him like I was on D'Lo the last year. He put up a stinker in the playoffs, right? So, yeah, that would be my ideal rotation. I think it brings a balance of defense and offense, and I think it gives us size as well in both the lineups. And then Austin off the bench would definitely provide a lot of scoring. He would do a Malik Monk, what Jordan Clarkson was able to do the last couple of years, what Lou Williams in his prime was able to do off the bench for us, and it would buy in a lot of time for us to be able to rest our starters and, keep them as fresh as possible. And that's the problem, man. The problem is that Vando just can't shoot. That's the problem. If he could shoot, if he could at least knock down the corner three, like I said, or something, he could definitely be a starter because I love his intensity, his motor, his passion, his nose for the ball defensively. He's just a great defensive beast. But under JJ Redick's system, he's going to want some floor spacers out there. And I think Rui does that better, And you're right. When he wants to play defense, he's very solid, right? Let's see. Do you think LeBron requests a trade if this is the roster? I think LeBron should be very happy with this roster. Maybe not ecstatic, not over the moon, but very happy, right? Because you still got Luka at the end of the day. You got Austin. You just acquired Smart. You got DeAndre Ayton. You got Vando. You got Rui. You got some depth. Problem is, it still seems like a bit of an unbalanced roster. I don't feel safe with Gabe Vincent as my backup point guard. I don't feel safe with Jackson Hayes as my backup center still. If we can address one of those two things, I'd feel a lot better about our bench, right? That's the problem. But if you're LeBron, where can you go right now without returning back assets where you can compete that has more assets than what the Lakers currently have, right? What magnitude caliber of player like Luka can you go play with right now that you can request a trade to and not give up $53 million worth in return and be kind of stuck, right? Like, it's kind of hard to even make a trade for LeBron unless the Lakers just super comply, right? 13 years in, I'm very pessimistic about this roster. I'm more optimistic on the optimistic side. I still feel like there's some blemishes around the edges for sure, a little rough around their edges, right? It's like you go to the store, you purchase something, and it doesn't have the best packaging, but it can still be very delicious. But the packaging is like kind of off-putting. That's what this roster is like, right? It has potential to cook up something special, but on the outskirts, just the little things, right? Like I said, the backup big Jackson Hayes. Do I really want a frail, super athletic, granted, but a frail guy getting pushed around even off the bench, going up against the Steven Adams of the world off the bench, or do I prefer an Al Horford, right? You see what I mean? And then Gabe Vincent, again, he didn't prove shit to me in the playoffs last year. He was tremendous in the regular season towards the end. And I was excited because I was like, let's see what he can do in the playoffs. Both him, Gabe Vincent, and Jackson Hayes proved to be unplayable. It's horrible, man. Let's see. Gordon says, man, Jordan Goodwin was a dog. His defense is super underrated. His D was really elite. Watching the games, he would give everyone problems. I like them a lot. And he's relatively young, so somebody's going to pick up on that. And if he gets picked up by a team like Indiana, who knows how to use those interchangeable defensive wings, I think they can really maximize his potential, right? But I do hope he clears waivers and comes back on a two-way contract. That'd be great. Let's see. In that case, if you're LeBron, you're hoping for a buyout, but that will be malpractice for the Lakers unless they really want to do the legend a favor. Yes, no, we do not want that. We'd rather compete with him this year and have him do whatever he wants next year. Yeah, the Lakers are not going to buy out LeBron James. That would be the worst buyout in the history of the NBA. And we'll be on the hook for the rest of his salary for multiple years. No, thank you. We'd rather let him play off his year. And, yeah, no. Love you, LeBron, but we don't love you that much. Yeah, that's crazy. He said, no, Rui got to come off the bench. We have enough offense. Disagree. Although I would love Vando, I don't think you can have enough offense around LeBron and Luka, especially because LeBron's getting older. He'll take a step back probably at some point this season. And we're going to need guys like Rui and Austin to step up with the scoring punch even more. And DeAndre Ayton, who I'm counting on. So respectfully, sir, I disagree with that. I do agree that Vando's a much better defender, but this is why my roster gives you a balance of defense and offense. You have the anchor of DeAndre Ayton. You have a perimeter guard lockdown guy and Marcus Smart, assuming he's healthy. You got an improved Luka, who's more in shape. You plug up some things, but of course you cannot play 5-on-4, man. You cannot play 5-on-4. By the way, Bobby Mark saying Jordan Goodwin has 4 years of service, so he is ineligible to sign a two-way. They got to be 3 years or less, so that's unfortunate. There goes my hopes and dreams of bringing him back on a two-way contract. Bobby Marks reporting, y'all. Just got the update right now. He's ineligible. He's not eligible to sign another two-way contract. How sad is that? How sad is that? Yes, appreciate you, Kimiko. Yes, if you guys are new here, please hit the like button and subscribe. Let's see. I start Smart over Rui because Rui can't guard ones or twos. Remember, you got to remember that Marcus Smart is 6'3". So even though he can guard threes, Rui can also guard some fours. And that switchability will improve him there. So for those reasons, no. But I am definitely starting Marcus Smart over Austin, for sure. He said offense isn't just about shooting the ball. Problem is that Vandal also passes up a lot of layups, just like Ben Simmons. Yeah, sometimes he'll attack and he'll dunk the ball. He'll flush it down. But for the most part, especially in the playoffs, he was very tentative. If you paid close attention, it looked like we were playing 5-on-4. And teams were able to sag off of him and double team our star players because of it. And it didn't work, which is why he didn't get a lot of PT. You got to watch the game between the game, brother. I'm telling you. As much as I would, and I love Vandal, I got a shirt made out of him. But I'm telling you, unfortunately, especially under JJ Redick, I think Vandal could maybe start on a team like Indiana. But here with us, for whatever reason, I think JJ wants floor spacers for sure, just based off of what I could absorb from last year. I also think that Rui would be better suited than Vandal there to start, just because he can defend, he can rebound, but most importantly, he can space, which gives LeBron, Ayton, and Luka room to operate, right? Hey, what up, brother? He said, Goodwin was good for us. Wish him well on next steps. Yo, CJ, bro, I am a little disappointed that we lost Goodwin, but I think somebody will pick him up, so I'm secretly happy for him. But the thing is that, the fact that we still couldn't make a trade this offseason is concerning, because I thought we were going to make a consolidation trade to open up some space here and at the same time offload some of these deadweight contracts, right, that we don't even know if they're going to get playing time. And that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So let's see, man. Let's see what happens. And we take it one day at a time and we go from there. Luka, Smart, Rui, Bron, and Ayton will be the best lineup to go with. I'm trying to tell them, man. I'm trying to tell them it's well-rounded. That's the same lineup I said earlier today. My favorite preferred lineup, although I think it's going to be Austin over Smart. But I would prefer that lineup, and I think it brings balance, to both the starting and bench. We have to take into account that we didn't have a bench last year either. We didn't have a bench last year, and that is unfortunate, because without a bench, you can only go so far. If you noticed, the benches of both the Thunder and the Pacers, who were both in the finals, were tremendous. Some of these guys even were putting up starter-type numbers, Obi Toppin, guys like that. Caruso had multiple 20-point games in the playoffs. Like, the bench has stepped up, so we need one ourselves, man. Let's see. What's up, Jack? He said, what's up, Dan? Still anxious here? Full, but still not bursting full. Still waiting for Rob's final move. He might have just did it. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I'm not even going to hold you guys. He might have just did this final move, because you cannot sign somebody under veterans minimum. I think there's a minimum you got to pay them. And also, they're probably going to want to stay under the first apron to have some flexibility heading into the season. Not sure how that works. But, the Lakers might head into this season with 14 roster spots. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope the Lakers still make a trade. But Rob has, until he proves to me he can make a trade, I'll believe it when I see it during the offseason. Because regular season, think about this. The D'Lo trade, when we landed D'Lo and we landed Vando and all of that, that was also during the trade deadline a couple years back. Then we traded D'Lo away to Brooklyn for DFS again right before the trade deadline, a couple weeks before the trade deadline this season, the last season. And now we're going into this summer. We're 20 days into July. Still hasn't made a single trade. We keep hearing reports that he's been very active. My own source told me he was very active. As I know, he's been active, but apparently he doesn't like anything. Either he's indecisive or they're trying to swindle him. Regardless, both of those things are bad for business. So I am concerned about that for sure. I hope that Rob can improve in that department as far as making a trade this offseason or in any offseason. And, because it just feels like this team is just one trade away from putting everything in its place and maybe even clearing up enough room to go sign one more free agent. Brogdon is still out there, for God's sakes. It's like there's some good pieces. So the fact that he thinks he's done does concern me a little bit. Hopefully we're wrong and he's able to do one more move, but I don't know. He hasn't been able to do it 20 days into July, so I don't know. Let's see. It's mandatory to stay under the first apron because of the move in the earlier offseason. We had hard capped there. Can't go over it. If we could actually have signed a minimum player. So annoying and complicated, this new CBA. CJ McCollum needs to get rehired and then fired again just for signing off on that new CBA because it is ridiculous. All right, a lot of people losing money because of it, except for the owners, right? But I'll tell you this. Again, the Lakers can still technically make a trade. Will they? Probably not. Look, most likely, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is the roster we're going into next season with, which I'm okay with for now. I still give it an A. I think this roster's an A. Now we lose Jordan Goodwin, who I thought was going to be a major rotation piece next year, or at least decent rotation piece. So I might lower it to A- now just because of that, and if I want to be petty. But overall, it's an A. And I really hope that we still have flexibility. So I hope maybe before the trade deadline we'll make something else to put us in the right place. But for now, we do leave a little bit to be desired, just a little bit more. I feel like half a player will do. Go give me Al Horford, even if he gives me 15 minutes a game off the bench. I wish, but right now, like D Free said, and like I said earlier to start the video, we can't sign nobody. That 14th spot is going to stay open unless Rob puts on his big boy pants and makes a trade. That's the only way. Let's see here. He said, Dan, you also have to remember that Austin's in a contract year, and if they want him back, they can't ask him to come off the bench because that's diminishes value in free agency. I can see your point, but if he wants to compete for a title, that's going to be the best option. All right. Now, if he wants to lose money and leave in free agency and end up in Detroit or somewhere where it's really cold, be our guest. But let's be honest, man. I believe that if they really want to compete for a title, that is the best option. And he doesn't have to give up minutes. He could be a super six man who still averages 20 and 6. Off the bench is a primary option. He might end up with more shots off the bench than he does as a starter because Luka's going to get his. LeBron's going to get his. Ayton's going to get his, right? Where is he going to factor in with the starters, right? It might be in his best interest to actually come off the bench and still average 35-plus minutes a night. But again, it's all just based off opinion-based. I still expect them to start because, like I said, I gave you guys my projected starting lineup that they're going to probably come out with and the lineup I want. I gave you 2 different lineups in the last video, so definitely check that out. But I did have Austin starting, so I believe it. But I would hope that, we have a coach that's not afraid to mix it up. Richard, man, appreciate you, Richard. Thank you so much, brother. He said, Dan, thanks for bringing us the news, and I hope this ain't our final move, but it looks that way. Dan, don't want to have an open roster spot? We have an open roster spot. We don't have the money to stay under that first apron. That CBA is suppressing us right now. So, yeah, we got to stay under, right, due to the previous moves or whatever. But at the end of the day, look, if they really wanted to use that 15th slot, you can maybe trade with a team that's trying to create an extra slot that might be in a better cap situation. You can offload Gabe Vincent and bring back 2 pieces that maybe you can use, right? Again, there's many ways the Lakers can make it happen, but will they? TBD. Rob hasn't done any trades in the last, 2-3 off seasons. He's done them during the trade deadline, and that seems to be his favorite place to operate, probably because that is when teams get more desperate and maybe they're more willing to make a fair trade. Maybe they want to swindle Rob. Maybe everybody got on the phone, 29 other franchises got on the phone and said, hey, look, they gave him Luka. Let's not give him shit this offseason, right? That could be. So regardless, we're not going to make excuses. If you're Rob Pelinka, you got to get the job done, right? If this is the roster we have moving forward and we start off good, we go and we start the season, 10-5, 10 games, 1 and 5 lost. And that's an extremely good start for a brand new roster, right? We start off like that, you're not going to hear a peep from me. But if we start off like 7-7, then it's going to be obvious that we still need to make trades, right? And so we'll see what happens moving forward, guys. But just wanted to update you guys really quick. This is my second video tonight. All right, this was just updates and rumors. The update was that Jordan Goodwin and Shake Milton both got waived today, unfortunately, for Jordan Goodwin. The rumor is, or at least what I believe is, that this is going to be the roster heading into training camp. So The next thing we look forward to is probably going to be obviously the official signing of Marcus Smart, which should come over the next couple of days, and then extending Luka, and then we'll have an A- off season so far. All right, final comments and questions, guys, before I get off. So what do you think, Dan? No more trades? Yeah, most likely no. Rumor has it we tried to make a trade before we waived Jordan Goodwin, and nothing came to fruition. So that tells me that's it. That tells me that's it. We tried, and Rob gave up. He said, you know what? Let's just waive this guy. Oh, well. Didn't like his face mask anyway. Whatever the reason was, whatever thing they told themselves to make themselves feel better for doing it, it was the easy route out for Rob, right? The more creative way would have been for him to maneuver something, a 3-team deal or something, to get Gabe Vincent the fuck out of Dodge and just improve the roster all the way around. But it didn't happen, guys, unfortunately. And here we are. We lost a good soldier, and hopefully Rob keeps his ace up his sleeve for the next trade deadline, because it doesn't seem like this offseason will happen. Hope to be wrong, right? Again, multiple sources, including my own, had reported he was very active, but now that activity started to dwindle. So most likely no trade for Rob this summer, and most likely this will be the team. Looking at the team from top to bottom, we'll break it down in future videos, but for now, that's going to be it for me, guys. Signing off here. Appreciate you guys. Again, major shout out to the sponsorship, Underdogs, promo code DTLF. You guys know the deal. Tap in, man. You could have cashed in yesterday during the UFC fights. By the way, amazing fight card last night. If you guys didn't watch UFC 318, oh my goodness, man. Max Holloway versus Dustin the Diamond Poirier. That was epic. And then, Dustin retired. That was awesome. Could have been a perfect time to jump in with Underdog, with Prize Picks, both promo codes DTLF. Don't forget to hit the like button. Turn on the post noti bell. You guys came right back if you listened to me the last video and turned it on. So make sure you guys don't miss out on the next big thing. All right, final question. Let's see. Where are backup big and 3-and-D wings? Backup big is probably going to end up being Jackson Hayes for now. And 3-and-D wing, you can put Marcus Smart in that category because he has a solid wingspan. I think 6'9" wingspan. So he can guard 1 through 3. There's your 3-and-D wing. Your backup guard, oh man, you got Mr. Marcus. I'm sorry, you got Mr. Jackson Hayes. So yeah, there it is. Unfortunately, bro, you gotta go with what you got. I do think LeBron has aged into a natural 4. I think Rui are indeed both best guarding 4s and small 5s, and that leaves Rui out of position guarding on the perimeter. Luka also isn't a guard defender. We got to work what we have, man. We got Marcus Smart. We got Vando off the bench. Unfortunately, we no longer have Jordan. But, we got to work what we have. This roster is still begging for another trade to put us in the, put everybody in their right positions. But most likely it won't happen until, late December, January or February, right? Around like early February, right before the deadline. So we'll see. Bronny is not on 2-way. He's on a regular contract, bro. He's on a regular roster spot. He was that way since we drafted him as a 55th pick last year. So, yeah, he's never been on a 2-way, just so you know. But, all right, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me. Again, thank you guys so much. And I hope to see you guys later on tonight on Playback TV. All right, going to do some gaming tonight. Hope to see you guys there, all right? Enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. You heard it here first, man. I hope to see you guys soon. Peace.